promote the the Republicans. When that happened, I mean, everybody was like, okay, everybody went to the Republican Party. I remember when Reagan got shot, everybody was, oh my God, he couldn't do anything wrong. And, part of it was because he got shot. And, God forbid that happens to anybody, but I think it helped him in some aspect, politically. As sick as that may sound.
But listen, the country at that time actually was not doing that badly, so he reaped the benefits of the country.
No, his first 4 years, he had they were comparing Obama's first 3-4 years to Reagan's, because Reagan had inherited a tremendous deficit from Jimmy Carter. That's why they were talking about inflation during the time of Jimmy Carter and interest rates, But one thing that you had back then, which I know Chris Matthews on MSNBC likes to talk about, because he was working in the Senate and he was working with Tip O'Neill. Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan used to be able to do business together. Tip O'Neill, at the end of a given day, Tip O'Neill could call up the president and talk to him like a human being and say, listen, this is what we have to do for the betterment of the country, and they would work out a deal. Now we have nobody willing to make the call, or maybe Obama's willing to make the call, but I don't know if anybody is willing to listen on the other end. And everybody's pointing out.
And the reason they don't want to listen on the other end, it has nothing to do with Democrats and Republicans. It's all about wealthy against the middle class and the poor. They are just looking to put more money in their pockets that they can possibly put. They are just so fucking greedy. That is the whole point of this country, is there should be no such thing as a lifetime politician. You should be somebody from your district. It should be you are 3-4 years and out, 6 years or 8 years and out.
Term limits. Make
absolutely term limits.
Make the
and
Senate.
If you want to go, let's say you're a senator. Okay, well you have to run for Congress, or you have to run for the presidency, or if you're a governor, you have to run. You can't run for the same office, but 25 years. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I could almost see, make, in Congress, instead of 2 years, make it 3. Why? Because when you have congressmen, the first year, they're looking to, make a reputation for themselves.
They have to learn. They have to learn.
It all depends upon the congressional committee that you sit upon, and how much exposure you have. But if they made it 3 years, they could legislate for 2 and do fundraising for that last year, which is what they ordinarily would do. Let them run for 2 times.
You can make it any way you like. No, you can make it, 4 years, 5 years, but there should be nobody that's in Congress or the Senate for 25 years.
That's what I'm saying. Let them have...
One friggin' guy, he basically died on the bench. He was sitting there and he almost croaked.
I'm well aware, it's if like I said, if congressmen were allowed to run.
What was he, 97?
I think it was Representative Dingell, and he was about 94 or something like that. He was the oldest sitting congressman. But you might have been referring to Strom Thurmond. Strom Thurmond actually turned, I think, 100 or something before he died. And then he finally retired from...
There was the guy in Jersey.
And here's the kicker of the whole friggin' thing. We keep electing these people. How is that possible? The guy can barely read the newspaper, and we elect him to run our district or our Congress. How is that possible? Where is the left in this country.
Where's the common sense?
There is no common sense.
The common sense is, why did people send Charlie Rangel back to Congress when he was on the Appropriations Committee, yet he forgot about a $500,000 checking account that he had, and that was his excuse. I forgot all about it. Okay? He never declared it. Or this guy Grimm in Staten Island, who's facing 20 charges of fraud, okay, and in federal court, and he's going back. So, I mean, hey, Louis Gohmert in Texas. Louis Gohmert was reelected with 78%. Have you ever heard anything this guy has to say in Congress? He's crazy. He's absolutely certifiable. And now Michelle Bachmann is leaving, so you have Joni Ernst, who said she's going to Washington and she's going to make them squeal. The one who wanted to castrate pigs, We're going to make them squeal. And she has the most obnoxious laugh in the world,
Well, and here's the other thing, I just don't understand, there's more middle-class people in this, middle-class and poor people in this country than there are millionaires and billionaires. I just don't understand how any single one person could actually vote for 85% of the Republicans that are out there. I mean, Cory Gardner here if I was a female, okay, number one, let me just put it this way. If I was a female, how could I possibly vote for Cory Gardner? He wants to do away with birth control pills.
Wasn't he the one that said that was one of the co-sponsors of the personhood bill? In other words, as soon as you are impregnated and there's a baby, that baby should be covered by the Constitution, that the baby has the rights of a human being?
Yes. Yeah, he's one of them.
It all depends what you consider as a person, We don't have to agree with it. That's
birth control pills, there is no impregnation. Well, that's the goal of it, So it's not like this is the day after pill or, this guy actually wants to do it with friggin' condoms. I mean, he's a friggin' lunatic. And they voted him in.
He should shake hands with Rick Santorum because he believes the same way.
Who was he running against?
He was running against...
was it Udall?
He was running against Marc Udall.
Marc Udall?
Well,
yes.
He must have had a bad campaign, that's for sure.
Well, Udall ran on one thing. Udall ran on women's rights, and that was it.
I'm so glad that these elections are over because, the Republicans must have called my house 3 times a night for the last month. And Udall ran the worst campaign you could possibly run. You never saw any of his commercials. And when you did see a commercial, it was a short bit, on how he was for pro-rights and, pro-gay marriage. You know what? I don't care about gay marriage. I don't give a shit if you get married. You know what I care about? I care about my life. That doesn't affect me. I care about things that affect me. Talk about something like that, maybe. Maybe that'll help you win an election.
Talk about quality of life for everybody. I think, we're just up and down. The whole system is so screwed up, it'll never get fixed. Congress has got no term limits. That's crazy. They get all these fantastic benefits that nobody else gets. So why do they care about anybody else? They're set for life. You serve a year in Congress, you're set for life. What do you care about? You don't worry about anybody else.
Right. So here's my thing, okay? If you're going to pass, number one, there's too many laws in this country. They make these laws that, you know what? There's no business government regulating this type of stuff. some of the regulations that they put through is, you know what? Worry about us being attacked by another country. Worry about our border control. Maybe, you know what? How about building a wall across Mexico and digging a friggin' ditch and flood it? Put a moat across Mexico so people can't get into the country. You know, maybe do something like that, something that will benefit us instead of amnesty, you know, that we want to give anybody that came into the country illegally. Okay, yeah, you're here. Okay, perfect. You can take any friggin' job you want. How about that? Do something for the American people.
I think...
How about...
You want to keep Marc, you think the Mexicans should keep crossing the border in here?
The Mexicans crossing the border. Forget about the Mexicans crossing. How about the terrorists crossing the border? Don't even get me started on this. I mean, it's out of friggin' control. These people are out of their friggin' minds. I mean, you have a... Now, I understand. Why can't we put the National Guard or put the U.S. Army on the friggin' border to protect ourselves? How is that not possible? Why don't we do that? Why do we have a border patrol that's insufficient?
Because I think they would tell you that the border patrol cost a lot less than federalizing National Guard troops or reservists to patrol the border. So that's the only thing I would think of.
And I agree with that. You know what? Stop giving the money to Afghanistan and Iraq, Sweden, and fucking Germany. And how about we just, leave it here and protect our own country?
You don't like the idea of having...
How's that work out?
Marc?
No, I don't.
Why?
Because I don't.
I don't think... reason.
No. You keep putting me on the spot.
No, hold on.
I'm not doing your show anymore.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't want to be on the spot. I don't put you on the spot, do I?
I wish you would sometimes.
I don't, do I? No, I don't think a wall
is feasible. Do you disagree with what I'm saying? I'm asking you.
I don't think a wall is feasible. Okay, as far as patrolling the borders, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that it would cost probably too much money because you're federalizing troops, you know, that's why they figured. But the scant border patrol that they have is not nearly enough anyway. Okay. You have, people from Homeland Security or Border Patrol, and they're responsible for hundreds of miles worth of, the border. And obviously people are going to sneak through. But getting back to your initial statement about the illegals, I think no one has tried to figure out, it would be wrong if they stayed here without any kind of penalty, okay? But by the same token, you can't ship 11 million people back where they came from, One thing I heard the mayor of Los Angeles say...
Hold on, why not?
What?
Why not?
Ship them back?
They're illegally. Yes, send them back.
Because, first of all,
why can't
you have people that are illegal who have been here for 20 and 25 years who have raised families. And the bottom line is the children
I'm
are
joking
citizens.
around. I get some of that.
So that's the
that.
problem.
But here's my thing. My cousin is a Suffolk County cop. And do you know that Suffolk County, if my cousin pulls somebody over and they don't have a driver's license and they don't have any paperwork and they're illegals, they don't want them to bring them to the precinct anymore.
Because they don't know what to do with them.
Just let them go.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with them.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you're saying. But the first thing, obviously, and I'll tell you, it's basically Democrats who are going to point to this. They're going to say, how can you split up families? Okay, you have children who are born here, which makes them U.S. citizens. Their parents are not. They're illegal. You can't split up families and send the parents back, and what do you do with the children?